There you go.
How are you? Right?
Fine.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, everybody? Yeah, I just wondered first of all if you could sort of run through any injuries, suspension, team news that's appropriate to the whole game.
Well, Asmir Begovic has got a slight problem. He'll need to be checked. He's got bang on his thigh. He's had a little bit of a bleed in there, so he hasn't trained. So we have to. He's a doubt at the moment. Matthew Etherington is fit, but hasn't had a great deal of training, so he's going to do extra work with the under-21s and play tomorrow. So he won't be with the squad. He'll be okay for next week. We just need to up his levels. And apart from that, unless you remind me, I think.
No, I was just going to say, Hughes is obviously long term, and Waters is suspended.
Yeah, Robert's doing really well. I'm very pleased with his progress. He's doing functional work now, so it's only two weeks since his operation, so we're really pleased where he is. So hopefully, if everything keeps progressing, maybe by the end of next week he'll be able to join in.
How much of a feel-good bounce did that Chelsea victory do, not just for you and the players, but for the whole club, really?
Yeah, it was a big result, obviously. I mean, it was probably outside of the club, or maybe to a certain extent inside the club. Probably not many people thought we could win, but we didn't go into the game with apprehension. We were looking forward to it. It was a difficult fixture, but in fairness, as the game progressed, we had a slow start and conceded, but got ourselves back into the game in the first half. We're able to hang on somewhat at times because of their quality, but second half I thought we were excellent and really deserved the win in my view. And and as a consequence, confidence is really high. I think we've done okay of late. I think the last 6 games in terms of form, I think we're probably, I think I checked the other day, I think something like 8th in the Premier League in terms of form, so we're not doing badly. We had a poor performance last time out at Everton away from home, so we obviously want to be better in that regard going up against Hull, but apart from that we've done okay in terms of performance against Hull.
How impressed have you been by Hull? Because they probably surprised a lot of people this year.
Yeah, they picked up points on a pretty regular basis. They've changed the way they play. They've gone 2 or 3 at the back, and that seems to have helped them just in recent games. And they look quite solid, certainly in central areas. So it's difficult to break them down. So that gives them a good solid base. So it won't be easy, but we just got to be positive in terms of what we do. But certainly Hull will be buoyed by their performances of late. They had a setback, obviously get beaten by Crystal Palace at home, but bounced almost immediately back against Liverpool and had a fantastic result against them. So the potential in their team is there for everybody to see.
You've come up against Steve Bruce a lot of times, and one thing he does do is he gets the best out of the players he's got. He utilises the players really well.
Yeah, he's got a good group in France, and they spent a little bit of money. They brought in the likes of Huddleston and players of that ilk, and they've obviously gone into the loan market as well, and that's helped them. So on paper they're a good team. They've got a lot of quality. They've got a number of players that have been in and around the Premier League for a long time, so they've got that experience as well. So no, they're in decent shape. I'm sure they'll be really delighted with their points total at this point of the season.
You're hoping this Chelsea feel-good factor will be the catalyst to push you on a bit, because you've been pretty satisfied, as you said, with the last few games.
Well, yeah, I think if we look at our points at the moment in terms of what we set ourselves at this stage of the season, we're nearest down, it's smack on where we thought we would be, given the teams we were going to play in the opening period of the season. So yeah, we're progressing, we're going in the right direction, we're getting points on the board on a reasonably regular basis, and if we continue to do that, then we'll have a good season.
Just one question away from Stoke City. How disturbed have you been this week about the news of match fixing, or allegations, shall we say, of match fixing?
Well, it's a worry for everybody involved in football. It's something that has raised its head. I've never been aware of it, certainly not in my time as a player or as a manager. It's something that needs to be stamped out. You would like to think the industry itself has safeguards within it that are able to see unusual levels of betting and different trends, and that flags it up to the powers that be, and then they act accordingly. But it's a worry because it seems to be a little bit more prevalent, and maybe there's more platforms to be able to go to the market and put bets on. So we just hope that people are vigilant and make sure it's stamped out.
Presumably you've got a strong education process here for some of the young players, just to warn them of the dangers that they could be getting into.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure that's the case at most academies and clubs as a whole. It's an awareness of the right and wrongs, and obviously it's not something that as football players and being connected to a football club, it's not something that we would be involved in anyway. So it's a worry for people within football and outside the football, because you have to protect the integrity of the sport and the competitions, and obviously when these things raise their head, then that integrity and the ability of the competition to be valid comes into question.
Thank you.
Mark, you described the Chelsea win as a big win. I'd go as far as saying it was a historic win, and one that supporters will be talking about for years to come. But what does it mean to you and your management and your coaching staff behind the scenes?
Well, it was satisfying because it was a job well done on the day. I think a lot of things came together in the performance. We showed a lot of qualities, some in adversity, and others when we were in the ascendancy. Obviously we conceded early and we had to show real character to remain in the game at times, but we did, and we got ourselves back into the game. In the second half we just showed a lot of belief in what we were trying to do on the day, and we got the rewards as a consequence. And I just thought second half, that was the standard that we have to hit more often than not this season. If we do that, then we'll be fine, and people will understand we're trying to have a good season and a progressive season. We want to try and improve our standard in the Premier League. We're doing okay at the moment, but we want to be in the top half if we can.
An excellent win, but this weekend you've got different opponents, very different opponents. It's Hull, Kingston Tiger, Rovers, City, whatever they're going to be called this week. And a lot of people will be expecting a good result after Chelsea. Is that expectation going to work against you?
Well, we mustn't allow that, but there is the potential that people get ahead of themselves, and I think as a consequence of winning one of the top teams in the Premier League, it's a given that we'll score goals and beat a less elevated team, if that's the right phrase. So we're mindful of the fact that if we're going into a game against a whole team that are a good side, certainly at home, we know it's a test. Every game in the Premier League never changes. Every game is different. Every game presents a real challenge for you, and then irrespective of who you're going up against, if you're not right on the day, then you can be beaten, and that's been proved this year from ourselves, our own experiences and experiences of other clubs in the Premier League. It seems that there's a lot of clubs who have the capacity to beat the top teams. The bottom teams can beat the middle teams, and it's just really a real strange season at the moment. It seems just to be a top half and a bottom half rather than top six, middle six, and how it usually is. So there's the potential to win against anybody in the Premier League this year, it seems, and lose, of course.
You're up against Steve Bruce, obviously, quite a character. Does the character of the manager that you're up against have any effect on the way you prepare for these games?
Not really. No. You're looking. At the end of the day, you as the manager, you can do so much, and then you have to allow him to go over the white line hopefully execute what you've told them to do. I suppose that's the top and bottom of it. You can obviously instill certain things and certain traits of your own personality into the team, and they sometimes come to the fore, but it's really about organisation and giving players the right information and allowing them the opportunity to execute what you want to do.
What I meant by that was, is it sort of like a battle of wits sometimes before and during the game between you and the other managers? You watch what they do, and this.
Well, yeah, I think that happens during the course of the game. You have to react to certain things, and if an opposing manager makes a positive move, then you have to, to either preempt it or actually negate the threat that the change is made. So it's constantly evolving, the Premier League game, so you have to be on the ball. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Edwin.